Constructicons form Devastator, the most powerful robot. We should rule. Constructicons, merge for the kill!
Hello, Bots and Books fans, this is Scorp1701, and welcome to part 2 of our 7-part series featuring the Transformers Studio Series Constructicons. And in this series, we are going to be taking a look at each of the Constructicons that Hasbro has put out for the Studio Series, and at the end of the series, we are going to form the Mighty Devastator. So the first video we had in our series was Scrapper, the Constructicon leader, but tonight we are going to be taking a look at the Deluxe Class Bonecrusher, and he is going to be so much fun. So taking a look at the packaging, it is in the newly designed Studio Series packaging. You have more than meets the eye here. You have the Autobot symbol 2 of 6, and that is very odd because the Scrapper we looked at in the first part had 2 of 5, and everything else is 2 of 5. This must have been created before they decided to add Long Haul and Hook together. So there are 6 Constructicons, but there's only technically 5 packages. Anyway, that's a strange little error. Maybe this box is going to be worth something one day. Anyway, moving down, you have 16 steps conversion, 8+. You have Bonecrusher looking all cool in the box. You have a nice picture of Bonecrusher in his robot mode, in his vehicle mode. You have Transformers Studio Series. There is now no 86 here, but you do have Transformers the movie logo here, which is where they will be putting the movie or video game from which the character comes from. You have Constructicon Bonecrusher, and you have Hasbro. Coming to the top of the box, you have the Transformers the movie logo. You have Constructicon Bonecrusher, Takara Tomy. Coming to the left side of the box, you have a beautiful picture of Devastator looking all angry. 2 of 6. Devastator, collect to combine, Transformers Studio Series, Transformers the movie. Coming to the right side of the box, you just have a carry through of Bonecrusher from the front. You have a nice Autobot symbol there, Transformers Studio Series Deluxe Class. Coming to the bottom, you have some nice credits for the box, and that is neat. Coming to the back of the packaging, you have a nice picture of Devastator beating up on the Dinobots from Transformers the movie. You have a brief read-up of Bonecrusher. I will zoom in, focus that. You could pause the video, read that to your heart's content. Coming down, you do have some product shots of Bonecrusher. If I can focus it, it has 16 steps to get him from his vehicle mode to his robot mode. You have 2 of 6 again, more than meets the eye symbol there. Some more credits for the box, and coming in real close on that barcode, that will help you find this figure in the stores, hopefully. And then you got the rest of the credits on the box and Hasbro. And that is going to be Bonecrusher in the packaging. I don't want to see Bonecrusher in the packaging. I know you don't, so let's get him out and see how crushing he can be. And before we can get this review started, there is a little bit of assembly required. Now, when you get Bonecrusher out of the box, he will come with this neat little black piece, and I wasn't really sure what it is, but this is an additional combiner part for Devastator. So what you'll have to do is turn Bonecrusher around, and you'll see this other combiner part right here, and there's a little slot right here, which this will port into on his back. And that needs to be done before we can get him all ready to go. Okay, that will just slide right in there. Push it in, and there you go. So that's going to attach to Devastator so he could be a good arm. All right, with that attached, we can get this review started. And here we have Bonecrusher out of the packaging. And out of the packaging, he stands approximately 5.5 inches tall. And he comes with a nice set of instructions. He comes with his laser pistol, which we'll take a look at in just a moment. But first off, I want to take a closer look at this crusher of Autobots himself. And coming in close on Bonecrusher's face, now it is what you'd expect from a G1 Bonecrusher. He has a nice black helmet looking thing, his forehead and his mouth and his sides are done in silver. Got a beautiful red visor. I love that. Not much more you can ask for his head sculpt. Coming back a little bit to see his upper chest. You do have some nice details in there, picked out in paint with the reds and the purples and the beautiful Decepticon symbol right here in the middle. And that is pretty much it when it comes to paint apps. Everything else on him is going to be mostly green. You got your green shoulders, your green forearms. You do get a little bit of purple when it comes to his molded hands, but those aren't actually real hands. They're just molded in there, so they had to slap some purple on there, and I guess that's okay. Coming down to his midsection, you have a nice rectangular waist section, and then that will bring us down to his legs, which are treads, and his feet, which are treads. So yeah, not a lot of detail on this guy when it comes to paint apps. You do have molded detail, and that is okay. And he looks fine for the most part. Coming to the side, you do get some more detail here in the legs and inside on the side, which, you know, you can't really tell, but they put it in there anyway. That's good. Coming to the back, you do have some combiner kibble, and that's all right, I suppose. You're not going to really see that from the back. And then the other side is pretty much the same. Oh, I did lie. There is some silver right here in the side of his legs and down here on the bottom of the treads. Is that on the other side too? Yeah, I missed that. So it's on the other side. So here's a little more silver. But I think some more of his chest could have been picked out, and some of these details on his forearm. But Hasbro doesn't pay me to design their toys. That's just my opinion. And that is what your Bonecrusher is going to look like. All right, moving on. And for our articulation, starting at the head, Bonecrusher's head can go around 360 degrees. It can kind of go back a little bit. It can kind of go forward a little bit due to transformation. It doesn't wiggle waggle left or right, so that's all you get. Coming to the shoulders, shoulders can come up from the body and then back down. They can go around 360 degrees, and that is good. There is no bicep rotation, but you do have a nice elbow joint which goes over 90 degrees, and that is built into a forearm rotation, 360 degrees there. Coming down, there is no hand. I mean, it's there, it's just molded hand, so it doesn't move or rotate or anything like that. Coming to the center of the body, it's pretty much solid, and there's no waist articulation or anything unless you break the mold, bring the chest part down, and then you can activate the 360 degree waist articulation there. But then you can't really do anything with it because the chest will kind of be off centered. So you have to really decide if, you know, that's a waist articulation or not. It kind of is, but I think it's mostly due to his transformation. Coming down, you can kind of fake an ab crunch using this little hinge, so he can kind of go forward and then backward if you want to do that. I like to do that with my Transformers. Then that will bring us to the legs, and the legs are very, very nice. They go all the way up to about 90 degrees. They go all the way back to well above 90 degrees. There is no butt to hinder it, and then they can go out to the side 90 degrees, so that is really cool. You do have thigh rotation, 360 degrees there. Coming down to a hidden knee joint, it is there. You just have to work on getting it out. There you go, 90 degrees there. I like that. And finally, coming down to his foot, the foot does hinge down and then back up, and then it can rock to the inside a long way. Same with his heel spur. It can go down and back up. So yeah, that is really neat. It's kind of good articulation, and it's kind of not. I mean, if they could have found a way to make this waist turn around without taking down the chest piece, then you'd have a lot more of it. But for the most part, it is what it is, and that is your articulation. Moving on. And for accessories, Bonecrusher does come with a personal laser blaster, and it's really nice, good black molded sculpt. You got a little sight up here at the top of the gun, and that is neat. And he can hold this, so bring him out, shove that in his hands, and he can go and attack Autobots or whoever he wants to attack. So, you know, that is good. I like the fact that the Studio Series Constructicons are getting weapons. The Hasbro Combiner Wars didn't have any weapons except for Devastator's handgun, and, you know, they solely needed them. So that is really cool. And that is Bonecrusher's accessory. Moving on. And for comparison, here you have Bonecrusher with Scrapper, and we have got 2 Constructicons. So 2 out of 6. We're a third of the way there, and this is really cool. I love the way this set is shaping up. They look like they just jumped out of the G1 cartoon or the 86 movie, to be precise, since that's where these are technically from, and I love it. This is great. This is a very good start. And I'm pretty sure that this set is going to rival the Combiner War set. Alright, and for comparison, here you have Bonecrusher with the Netflix Megatron, the Earthrise Starscream, the Legacy Dead End, and the Netflix Soundwave. And they look like a bunch of good Decepticons. I really enjoyed seeing the Stunticons and the Constructicons together. Looks like Dead End is a little smaller than Bonecrusher is, and they are both Armbots. But the Legacy had that cool little ability to split apart and make it as long as it needed to be. And Bonecrusher is just going to be straight out, so he has to be a little taller to get the length that they need, in my opinion. And this has been a cool comparison. And for comparison with the enemy, here Bonecrusher is with a few Autobots. You have the Dramatic Capture Series Optimus Prime, the Earthrise Grapple, the Earthrise Hoist, and the Studio Series Bumblebee. And this is a great looking group of Transformers. Definitely reminds me of that episode, The Master Builders from Season 2, where the Constructicons teamed up with Grapple and Hoist. And I think if I had a Power Glide, he would replace Bumblebee here, because Power Glide was big in that episode too, but we haven't got a Power Glide yet. Still waiting on him, but in the meantime, this is a great group of Transformers. And for our final comparison, here you have the Studio Series Bonecrusher with the Combiner Wars Bonecrusher. And the Combiner Wars, like we mentioned, is going to be taller, and he does have a few more paint apps than the Studio Series. As you can see, he's got some nice silver for the arms and forearms, and the chest has some silver on it, which is lacking over here on the Studio Series, but it is what it is. The engineering is pretty much the same. You got the bend in the forearm here, as you got here, and the treads make up the feet, and so yeah, it's not too different, with the exception of the paint apps and the height. So that is pretty neat. All right, and that is your comparisons. Moving on. And full transformation. Now, please understand, I don't necessarily go by how the instructions tell us, but by the end of the segment, we get to where we need to be. All right, so the first thing I like to do is close up Bonecrusher's toes. So put those together like such. And then we need to tuck his head away, so pull down his chest. And we'll just slide his head down into this little compartment. And then once we do that, we need to work on these arms. So the forearm section will need to go around 180 degrees, like such, on both sides. And when we get to the back side of the arm, we will see that if I scroll in, we will see that there is a tab section here and a port section down here right next to the hand, and we are going to fold this in on itself. So make sure you get a good pull on this forearm, because it is a tight joint and you need to be very flush when you try to go and put this in to place. So if it's not flush, it's not going to sit right. So get it in there, and then it will tab where it needs to be. Very good. And we'll do that on the other side as well. Get a good grab on this forearm, pull it up, and it will slide right down into the tab. So there you go. All right, so now what we're going to do is open up this section and bring that down, and we are going to slide the arms into this little crevice right between the head and the front of the bulldozer. So let's scroll out just a little bit so we can see that. And to do that, we will need to adjust the arm by moving it around to where you have this hole on facing forward on both sides, and basically just slide it around into this little cavity, and that will fit really nice. If you need to move this piece down, you can do that. Get it out of the way so that it will fit and tab in the spot on both sides. And you get them together, they'll connect, and then you can still tab them, and that is really good. All right, and then what you'll do is you'll bring this part here, the front of the bulldozer, up, and there'll be a tab here, and there's a little port right here, and that will just stick in there, and there you go. Okay, so from this point we are going to connect the leg section, well, this little green section here, to this, or we're just gonna actually put it right in front of it. So there you go with that. And now we are going to bring the treads around, and on the tread here on the right side you'll have a port here and a port here, which will line up with this tab and this tab. So go ahead and line that up, and that will go into spot, and you'll hear some clicking, and that is really good. On the other side you'll have a tab and a port section here in the black section, which will line up with this port and tab section. So it's kind of a little different, but you still have two connections on the other side, and just line those up. You'll hear some clicking, and that is good. All right, bring the roof section up like such, and we are almost done. Come around to the front, and what we are going to do is we are going to tab this section above the shovel into this lower port. Not the top one, the lower one. So we will just adjust that accordingly, and that will pop into place. And there you have Bonecrusher in his bulldozer mode, and it looks really nice. Let me make sure he's all squozen together properly, and I shall be right back. And here we have Bonecrusher all squeezed together in his bulldozer mode, and it looks really nice for a bulldozer. He does have his nice little hood section here, and he front's got your grills and your little shovel, and it does move up and down a little bit, so that is really cool. I do like the treads. They look really nice. You got some molded detail in here to show some engine workings, and you got a little silver there, which we pointed out earlier. But that is pretty much it. I am happy we got a Decepticon symbol here in the shovel section, so you can see his allegiance in his vehicle mode. And yeah, pretty much a good representation. He doesn't really roll that well. There isn't any wheels on the bottom of him to speak of, but I guess you'll just have to slide him around, so take that for what it's worth. And yeah, so that is pretty much his bulldozer mode. All right, moving on. And for comparison, here you have Bonecrusher with his leader Scrapper. And yeah, these look like some very nice construction vehicles. You want to build some stuff or tear some stuff up, there you go. I think we're starting off again really well with these Studio Series Constructicons. All right, And for comparison, here you have Bonecrusher with Megatron in his tank mode, and it's okay. Tank's definitely going to be bigger than a bulldozer, I think. And then you have him with Dead End, and this is really nice. I like the size. They're pretty much comparable. I think Dead End is just a little longer than Bonecrusher, and that's okay. And then for the comparison that doesn't make a lot of sense, here you have him with Starscream, and comparing a bulldozer to a jet, I don't know if that's going to work too well. That's why I didn't bring Soundwave out here, because that would really not make a lot of sense. But for the most part, they are some pretty neat vehicle modes. Alright, and that is going to be your comparison with his fellow Decepticons. And for comparison, here you have Bonecrusher with the Autobots. And it's a kind of a better comparison, and not really, because they're the bad guys to him. But anyway, here you are, saying here with Prime. So he's not as big as Prime, which is okay. I like that. And then here he is with Grapple. That's pretty good. I think in this case, Bonecrusher is a little too big, but it's alright. And then here he is with Hoist. That's a good comparison, and they're both green, so definitely like that. And here you are with Little Bumblebee, so that is really neat. So, no. You don't want to try that again. So there you go. I like these comparisons. The vehicles are comparable with each other, I think. And for the most part, they look good. Alright. And for comparison, here you have the Studio Series Bonecrusher with Combiner Wars Bonecrusher in their bulldozing modes. And yeah, they're very similar. I do think I do like the Studio Series alt mode a little better. This one is okay. I mean, it's huge, but it just doesn't seem all put together. And I just like the details on the Studio Series a little better with this roof section right here as opposed to just the cab. And it's preference, but anyway, that is gonna be your comparisons with the Combiner Wars. They both look pretty good. Alright, moving on. And for our final piece of transforming business, we have to get Bonecrusher into his combined form. And this is a very easy task. Make sure he is in his bulldozer mode. And what we will do is pull the treads out from the side of the bulldozer. On the bottom of the bulldozer, we will pull this black section out and down. Rotate it 80 degrees to where you have this nice circle sitting down there. And we will put the treads back together. Let's zoom out just a hair. And what we will do is, on the right tread from this particular angle, you will see two tabs sticking out, and that will pull down into a nice panel. And then we will fold the foot back in on itself on the left-handed tread. And then we will connect the treads. You have a tab section here and here that will go into the ports in there, and you have these two tabs that will go into the inside of the toe section here. So put that together, and you got a very nice connection, and that is very stable. Nice clicking. I like it. Alright, let's zoom out a little bit so we can see this is getting a little tall. And now, the last thing we need to do is to bring out the handy dandy, literally, left hand. Oh, and just a note, the hands come with the hook and long haul 2-pack. So don't worry if you just have Bonecrusher, you're not going to have the hand. And you can see on the inside of Devastator's left hand, you have a circular tab, and then you have a rectangular tab right here. And on the forearm, you have a rectangular port and a circular port. So just line those up like such. And there you have Bonecrusher in his arm mode. And it is a very nice and very huge arm mode. And it goes all the way around. But we'll get more into that when we get to Devastator himself. But that is really all you need right now to make sure that you can get Bonecrusher into his combiner mode. Alright, moving on. And this has been the Transformers Studio Series Constructicon Bonecrusher from the original Transformers movie back in 1986. And I am so happy that I've started this collection of the Constructicons. We haven't had a good set of Constructicons since Combiner Wars, and they were really huge, and these are kind of scaled to match the current Transformers. So I like having my Transformers scale well together, so I think this is going to be really neat. But when it comes to Devastator, I mean, if you got the Combiner Wars, I think it's always good to have him as huge and imposing as possible. But anyway, talking about the Bonecrusher here, he was a good little Transformer. He's got a nice sculpt and mold, very similar to the Combiner Wars, just a little smaller. His articulation is good, that what you can get to. The waist is kind of bad because you have to break the sculpt to get to it, and that's kind of a bummer. He has a weapon. I like that. The Hasbro Combiner Wars only came with Devastator's weapon, so they were sorely missed in the collection. His transform is very simple, whether it's to robot to bulldozer mode or from bulldozer to combine mode, and when it's fun and simple, it makes playability all that much more satisfying. And that's going to be this guy. I hope you enjoyed this review of the Transformers Studio Series Bonecrusher. If you are looking for him, you can find him on the store shelves right now, and he will go anywhere between $25 to $30 depending on where you pick him up. So that's it, guys. Thank you for checking out part 2 of our 7-part series. Come back next time as we take a look at Hook. But in the meantime, have a great night, and until next time, keep playing.
Constructicons unite!